Remember when Mike farted near Liz? Was that funny? I don't know. I've got fucking Stockholm Syndrome after all this. Yes, this is now week 4 of the off-center experiment as we are joined by Alex White for this week's episode of...
Well, we'll just tell your mother that we ate it all.
We got a great question to ask Hastings to the top of the pod.
Check one poob. check one poob.
Jamie said that about 10 seconds ago.
We heard...
Hastings walking up to the microphone.
We heard...
By the way, Jamie were walking up the stairs and Jamie was like, we should ask Hastings about it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So, you know, if I
The roles were reversed. You said that and I said, I don't know. And I said, I can probably do it.
It's not that bad, but it's...
Okay, go on.
It was just like about you when you were a nascent comedian.
Oh, what?
You know, like a young comedian about 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago when I was
Just
new to comedy.
Starting
4
open
years,
mics.
You know,
Yeah.
So cutting your teeth.
You,
Yeah.
Jackson Stewart.
If anything, this comedy needs more talking about open mic comedy. So I'm glad we're going there. Yeah.
That you used to do a bit where you
God.
talked about being depressed.
I did a lot of bits about that.
Yeah. We know that.
Is this high depressed I'm dead?
No.
No.
It's a good bit.
If only...
Yeah.
That was a bit.
So it's a bit about like you being despondent and depressed and like not like laying around doing nothing, but then you like cooked eggs.
No, I don't think
And you
that's
said
me.
you had an
So-
existential crisis.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. That was like 10 years ago. God, I forgot all about that bit.
Not me.
No, because I thought about it because I don't eat eggs. So I was like, I just don't like
Ah,
it.
damn, that's so good.
I would be capable of that sort of a joke, but no.
No, I forgot about it until the existential crisis. Yeah, no, you're right.
So
it was all just
do
a
the
pun.
bit?
I do not remember the bit.
So,
The
egg
pun,
on your
the
face.
punchline was a pun on eggs and existential crises.
So the punchline was not existential crisis.
No, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was. I don't remember the bit though. It was a very,
It's like
very
there
long
was
time.
like a moment where I was like, I don't think.
Yeah, how about we bring up bits you guys wrote 10 years
Yeah.
ago?
Well, I wasn't doing comedy 10 years ago.
All right, fair enough. It was also, I think, 9 years ago. But yeah,
It was.
2011.
It was more like.
Comedy for 10
It was more like 3 years ago.
Yeah. It was
Whatever.
more I did it at Crown last
No,
week.
the why we
okay?
were laughing, it was such a not. It wasn't a hasty.
Yeah, it
bit
didn't
at all.
sound like
It
you.
didn't sound like
How
you.
do you two know about that bit if you haven't been around
Zach
comedy that
Hutchinson told us.
What the
That-
fuck is happening? you guys bitching behind my back about
Zach
bits
hasn't
from
been around
9
that
fucking
long
years
either.
ago?
No, but that's
Well, we weren't
long?
there.
Like, I'm the only person who
What's-
might have heard it. and
Why
I
is
don't
it
remember
worth repeating? What is it? It's a
Well,
bad bit from 9 years
Well,
ago.
he said it, and we were like, "That doesn't."
Why?
Well, we were like, "That doesn't sound like a Hastings bit."
Bits or something, and he was like, he did. What was it, Roxbury or something?
Yeah, Roxbury.
Oh,
He's
right. I was at his first ever gig.
Yeah, that's the story.
Yeah. But he was just like, it Hastings that existential crisis bit.
Yeah, and we were like,
what
That
No.
the
wasn't like a
fuck is
classic
that?
bit. That was
Well,
like
we
a.
just said that.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
did
like,
that bit
What is
maybe.
that bit? And then we're like, that does not sound like a Hastings.
I reckon I did that bit 8 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it
Yeah.
ever? Did it do well?
I can't remember. Probably not. Like, I don't remember.
That rules.
Where would you have done it?
Back then,
The
mostly
Rocks.
comedy on the edge.
Powerbomb Comedy Festival 1 and 2.
I was doing a lot of comedy on the edge and Roxbury and a bit of what else was going on? Baldface Stag had this shitty gig. There was one at what's that pub on Parramatta Road in Petersham near Crystal Street?
The Petersham Inn.
Yeah, Petersham Inn. They used to have a gig
They
there.
used to have stand-up?
Did they really?
It was like they did like a rebrand
they did,
and
like,
a
strip
renovation.
club
So this is before
stuff.
the renovation. I'm pretty sure it's the same venue. Across the road from the Stag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there.
Petersham.
It was yeah. It was called like the White House or something.
So Jared King ran it.
Yes, more inside, more.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I think it might have been before
Prob-
your time.
probably.
somehow.
I think
in that
Edge-
6 months, like I
Probably
genuinely-
ran. How long did it run for, though?
I don't. It was literally a decade ago. I
We're
don't
talking about
remember.
Edge today and how good it was because it was like this cross between new comics. So people that we're friends with that were all new at the time, and then this old guard of weirdos that would
Yeah.
come in, and there was like that guy who would do impressions all the time, and all these bits were just an excuse to do an impression. He'd be like, I was at the bar and Sylvester Stallone walked in, you know? And it's like, it's just stupid bits like that.
Yeah, low
All
lager.
these guys, where they're going like, this guy seems like really stupid. These bits don't make sense. Then you look it up, it's like he won Raw in 1994.
Yeah.
Like,
But then,
Wait, who did?
I'm not naming any names.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
changing
also-
some
yeah.
details here.
Also, like a lot of the point was that like these people would like watch these new comics at Edge, like all of us essentially, and be like, these fucking people suck.
Yeah,
Comedy is terrible. And then they got up there and be like, hey, I'm Donald Trump as if I'm Richard Nixon. I am not a crook. You know, like
Donald Trump just doing it as a like the Apprentice impression. You know what I mean? It's like not even.
You know that real
topical.
estate mogul?
Yeah.
it's like Lee Harvey Oswald was like, you're fired
I was-
in the back of the head.
I literally was there, and a guy told a joke, and then someone was like, "Hey, you know, because you get feedback," and someone was like, "Oh yeah, that's a joke from the two Ronnies." Like they said
Jesus
that, and then he was
Christ.
like, "Oh,
What the fuck do you know about?
yeah." And it's like, and the guy,
And then
You know
starts doing
the-
Ronnie Corbett.
You know
off the
the Tim Robertson sketch with Tim Heidecker in it? That's
Yeah,
their Colgate comedy hour. That's
Oh,
their
yeah.
you know, the two Ronnies.
yeah, it was just the
Like the
the
two
Edge
Ronnies
the
was very
best.
big, but like fuck, it's old.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
That's
old.
right.
Well, Colgate Comedy Hour was big.
My dad would be like, "Yeah, my dad used to watch that." You know what I mean? Like it's his old. It's be like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Like
mean?
one of them would be dead.
Yeah.
One of the two Ronnies.
Of course.
And Ronnie Corbett not far behind.
No,
I think Ronnie
that-
Barker died quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day the laughter
Yeah,
died.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah,
Fuck.
But
Yeah.
they just had all those old hacky jokes, and then people would go and do it at Edge, and they'd be like 40 years old in marketing doing bits from the two Ronnies, and it's like, what are you doing with this?
I have a
man,
question
you know?
then that like this applies to everyone, and I think maybe this is already your answer to Ronnie's thing. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever got about like a single bit? Like not like here's what you should do in comedy, but like here's a way to make that bit better.
Yeah, I got one.
Go for it, please.
I was told that you shouldn't talk about jerking off on stage because it forces the audience to picture it, and people don't like that. And since then, and at the time, I remember being like, "Huh, that's an interesting point."
That is kind of one that's like makes sense.
It makes sense. That's what I mean, because I was like, that kind of makes sense. And then since then, I've seen every comedian on earth ignore that, and it's been
Yeah,
fine.
totally. Some comedians have made careers off it.
Yeah, not me, but I certainly gave it a red hot go.
I got told not to do egg puns, and I was like, that was a
That
boat
sounds like
missed.
some terrible advice.
Rose, Rose, do you have
Rose,
one?
go.
I don't know if I really do, but I have like you asking that question jogged my memory of this. Is like I'm like you all know how gullible I am. Like
Yes.
Yes.
Alex riles me up all the time.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, of course.
It's like sport.
Yeah, but so like years ago, a friend, his like older brother told us this story and like passed it off as his own, and he was like, it was like a good storyteller. So I'm like, oh man, like that must be true. And then I started doing comedy, and I talked to him, and I was like, can I say that on stage? And he obviously has no idea how comedy works, so he's just like, yeah. So I was doing it. It was like, you know that like old street joke about like a bunch of people, as I later found out that it was an old street joke. It's like people in a bar, and like Sean Connery walks in, and then they're asking who his favorite route was, and he ends up walking out saying Twiggy 1984 up the arse.
Yeah.
I did that a few times.
I had a similar thing where a friend of mine told me a story where he was like, "Take my wife, please," and I was like, "Can I have that?" Is that
Someone once told me they get
Can
no
I have that? Your wife. Is what I mean.
Someone once told me they get no respect, and I was like, I gotta take that bad boy.
But I did it a couple of times, and then I won't name this person, but an older comic came up and was like,
Steph.
"Hey,
Isn't she like 18 months older than you?
18 years. Like,
Yeah, no.
18 decades, dude.
this is like years ago as well, like within the first year of doing comedy." But
Okay.
older comic up the back of the room comes up and says like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that bit. I don't know who told you like that's a true story." Because it's not, and like just anytime I ever hear that, I'm like, well, fucking, I'm dropping it immediately. Like,
Yeah.
never want to do bit theft or whatever. And then later on the same gig, and I've seen them do it multiple times since, they went up and did the bit about Bono being
The
you know,
Africa AIDS.
every time I click my fingers, and someone at the front said,
That's an
"Stop clicking your
old
fucking
bit.
fingers." And I'm like, Motherfucker, that is one of the street jokes around.
That Bono joke was originally a Bob Geldof joke. That's how old that joke is.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you didn't write that joke.
Yeah. All right, should we name who gave us the advice?
Wait, Al, do you have one?
I don't have.
Because I do have one.
I do have a particular bit of advice. I might have one, but what popped in my head was I heard someone be like, "Never admit you're not a comic on stage. Like, never say you have a job."
Never reference having a job.
Which is
I have had that
so
said to me by,
shit.
I assume we're talking about the same person.
Yeah. And I actually never got
a guy who's never needed to have a job.
What you got to
Is that a
do
white
is you
guy?
gotta make the audience think your dad pays your rent.
Yeah, exactly. Which, like,
Nothing makes an audience respect you more.
When
Which
your
is so
dad pays
dumb.
your rent.
Any bad advice I
And
got
knowing that
would
your
have always
dad, the
been
most
from
famous
him.
lion of all.
and just the idea that, like, because it's so stupid to be like,
I love Mogul.
what? Because what?
Me too, dude.
He's a good guy, but it
talking
is
about
funny. Oh, I was just like,
talking about someone else.
me and
We were just
Hastings
thinking about something else.
Yeah, me and Hastings were just laughing about something.
But even if you're like, okay, don't ever talk about having it. It's just so like that's 90% of the way to connect with the people in the fucking audience. Is everyone has a fucking job. That's the
That's
one
exactly what I said to them. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like people like being able to relate to things.
It's the
Other
most
people
relatable
work.
thing. It's like
Not
relate-
everyone is a fucking
thing.
comedian.
Everyone has a relationship or has had one, and everyone has a job or
Yeah.
has had one. It's a two fucking things. They're all parents. It's like that's the only.
I once read
Yeah.
a criticism of the
Ridiculous.
show Big Mouth online that was like, why do all these adults want to watch shows about teenagers going through puberty? That's so weird. Why would they want to do that? I'm like, cunt, it's literally the most universal human experience.
Everyone
Every person
did it,
does
except
it.
for people who died before they got there, but they're
Yeah.
not fucking alive to watch it. Are they?
I don't count you as a person if you don't live to 13. So that's my rule. It's a Jewish thing.
I remember I had one.
Really pro-choice.
I remember doing. I did terrorist comedy like way back in the day, and I had a joke where like the punchline was like about like the video game Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then like it did like fine enough, and then like the comedian in question afterwards was like Streets of Rage, nice reference. And I was like, oh sick, another nerd. Like it's like
Let's go in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I
was
wonder if the
like-
comedian who
Touch
gave
each
you
other's
your
dicks.
thing was the same comedian who gave me my advice. all
well,
those years
maybe
ago.
listen, maybe you'll find out in a second. And then like this comedian was like, oh, maybe with the Streets of Rage thing, you could go a little deeper, and like just started naming all these examples that were like word for word Pete Holmes jokes.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
from
I
his-
know that
he was
bit,
like,
yeah.
what about like eating a whole chicken?
Yeah,
and I like
yeah, yeah.
had to be like,
You just find an apple.
yeah, and I had to be like, well, that's Pete Holmes.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, what about if it's like an apple? I was like,
Yeah, so I know
That's
the
the
bit.
other reference from that Pete Holmes.
so eventually I was just like, yeah, okay, dude.
Yeah. I actually no. I had I think I'll say it because I'll say to try. Kugel once tried to.
Oh yeah, who gives a fuck about him?
you don't wanna rub him
very
the wrong
bad
I'm
way.
not even
man.
ragging on him, but he once, that fucking Mario Kart joke he used to have. He once was
I
like,
couldn't remember any of his jokes.
No, this is
my
Alex's
jokes.
bit.
Oh yeah.
yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah,
joke
no, of
about,
course we
like-
all
Oh,
remember
yeah, no, actually, yeah,
classic
yeah.
bits from the Alex White oeuvre. We all...
Yeah.
Because they're not fucking egg
look,
puns,
I-
bitch.
Soy or nothing.
No. But then he was like, that's really funny because it's about Bowser doing Mario Kart with Mario, and he's like, you should bring like Donkey Kong into it. You know what I mean? It's like,
He just remembered a third character.
exactly.
What if the shy guy was
expand the
there?
universe a little
Exactly.
of
I'm
the
like,
joke?
no, dude, that's
What if
how
you
a
made
joke
it
works.
about Mario Kart 64?
It's already like
He just wants your joke to be Smash
It's only
Brothers.
three
And then he's just
characters.
standing there going, Toad?
Yeah.
You're like, what if Sonic was in it? And Metal Snake? And
I'm going to go home and write some fiction.
Yeah.
Toad lives matter.
It is fan
Alex.
fiction bits. And I'm like, that's not going to help, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not,
Just
it's not
convoluting the
going
party.
to say the bit's amazing, but it's certainly going to fucking
Yeah.
help by adding another fucking character to it.
Did people also do that and come up and list other soy products to you?
No, someone did once another bit where they were like,
I have a great Alex White
fuck.
soy story actually.
Oh yeah.
One time, me and Alex.
Do we need a bit of context for what like?
Alex has a joke.
Al had a bit about the difference between soy
Yeah.
sauce and soy milk.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
the
it was
joke
great.
is that they are different.
They are.
Yeah.
Joke is that they're different and you don't think about it until you say it.
So
Yeah.
one time, me
That's
and Alex got booked for this fucking gig in DY, which is
This
like
is
which is like an hour away.
And by the way, this is like
I lived in DY
we're
for
probably
3
like
years.
2 years in.
He was looking at me. I also know where DY is.
We're probably like 2 or 3 years in, and it was like Jamie was going to MC. I was going to.
No, I wasn't gonna MC.
You going to do a spot?
There, we were both doing spots. The
Wow.
MC and
What
headliner.
gig was this?
It
a
was.
Pat gig.
It was. Yeah, it was Pat Doherty. It was a DY,
DY Hotel?
I think it was DY Hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did really good
The pub
burgers.
sucks.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember him doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't do
I hate
it.
that
It was
pub.
a couple
So
months or
we
something.
drove up there. I think we drove up there separately, right?
I don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
But it's like an hour and a bit drive to get there. It's like pretty long, and like 2 other comics. There was a headliner and an MC.
What year was this?
This maybe 2-3 years ago.
I reckon it was at least 3 years. I remember being
I thought it was like
pretty-
2016, maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe
remember
17.
being. It was before. I reckon it was before Powerbomb as a gig.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
But
like
we were already like
2016,
friends then.
we were friends, but we weren't comedians who would like emceeing would be a big deal for us then.
Yeah.
at that gig, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
I reckon
like
3
I
years
think
ago.
I'd done it like a couple of times, but I like
Yeah.
so whatever. Like
I
the-
lived in DY. I never did the gig.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You didn't live in DY at
You
the
didn't
time.
live in DY then.
I probably lived in Manlyvale, which is pretty close.
No, I think you were living in Mossman by that point.
Still pretty close.
Yeah, They don't often book gigs by who lives nearby. By the
Yeah,
way.
you do have to remember as well who they said booked
Yeah.
the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Hastings, I've heard he lives close.
I
Honestly-
assumed I only got on at Everly because I live nearby. I thought it was-
I only get
Assuming
on
that
it
would
because I
ass-
just hang outside the room.
Yeah, assuming that would assume you get on at Evelyn
I used to get on before,
before Caution Outlawed.
Ixnay on
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
Everly.
get off at Everly.
So we turned
You'll
up.
all get to do Everly. I'm gonna book you all. Don't worry.
No, you're not allowed to book.
Maybe
I
yeah.
wasn't actually
not allowed
worried.
to book Rose.
Why not?
Alex is
'Cause
already.
I'm cursed every
yeah.
time I'm officially booked.
Rose-
no one turns up.
Rose has to show up on the day and do
right.
it. Alex has already been booked. Hastings, your time will come.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, you're going to this DY.
We're going to this DY gig, and like I think about an hour before I'm about to drive, Pat was like, "Can you MC?" Whoever's MC just pulled out, and I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "This is the person we got. Like, we've got 2 people supporting, and we got a headliner. One of them was Alex." So I was like, "That sounds like a lot of fun." We get there. DY Hotel, Hastings, you probably know. It's massive.
It's huge.
It's one of those old,
It's like a mega
huge.
pub.
It's one of those
Yeah.
coasty / suburban, like just enormous entertainment complex
mega
pub.
things. There's a million.
There's so many.
Oh,
popping up in
that'd
the
be
Shire at the
maybe
moment.
DYRSL.
No, it was DY Hotel.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
a huge thing. Like the Stain is kind of a mega pub.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the- it's
DY
just like
Hotel's
the
smaller
same.
than the pub,
There's like
but
a
the Stain by
million
Beer.
nooks and crannies and
Yeah.
little small bars.
It's got like
Yeah.
weird
spots.
lounges hidden away
Yes.
where you can finger people and
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
So we like had a little look
We
for
fingered each other.
Yeah, we fingered each other. We had a little look for the booker because it like again the pub was huge. Eventually we kind of like came because we were looking for like separate rooms, you know.
Yeah.
Because when we first got there, we were like, well, the main bar's huge. Like at least it will not be in the main bar.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got to like
Ooh.
a place like just to the left of the main bar that was kind of like cordoned off by like those old timey things that women get dressed behind in sitcoms.
Yeah.
Oh
Like-
yeah. The like paper.
a clothes screen.
yeah. It was like separated by that, and then there were like some bookshelves there. So it was like kind of like its own little room, but not really. And we find the booker, and we're like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And he's like, "Yeah, good. Like, bit of a problem. MC, as you know, is not coming." And I'm like, "Yep, cool." And he's like,
Why, as you know?
well, because he'd said like before,
Jamie was the
"Can I
replacement."
MC?" Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And then he was like, "But the other support act also isn't coming." And
No, the headliner isn't coming.
well, no, both. There were 2 other there was another support act as well.
Yeah,
Because
but, like we were both booked as support acts.
Yeah.
So we turn up, and the long end of it is we're the only 2 people on the fucking show.
Yeah.
So the headliner, whoever's like, it might have been another support, but
And
they
you
were like,
probably don't
"Cool."
have quite have like what, let's say half hour of like
No.
Not
solid
really.
gold.
Well, I mean, we've never been in this position before,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we're not in a position
Yeah.
to.
They didn't yet have Hastings' phone number to tell him to
No,
come down
yeah.
to a
And
spot.
Hastings is, it didn't pay his up to spill that month. He's like, I'm gonna ring him 3 more times, and then I'm moving on.
Hastings to us at that point was an aspirational get.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
lord. I was just at home furious that I wasn't booked.
We didn't. Yeah, we were just like, man, if Hastings,
Hastings
would
updated
do
his
it,
bio,
that would
just been like,
really make our
an
day.
exceptional comedian.
Oh my god.
and so then, Pat,
And so, like if you know the bookie, he's like one of the most positive, like golden retriever, like cunts. Like you'll ever
he's
know.
a proper Labrador.
And so, like,
yeah.
we've got like maybe 5 people in there, and Pat's like, oh, that's good. it's gonna go. We're like, there's two of us, and now we're like, what do you want us to do? And this was like he would like usually at that point he'd be like, all right, I'll MC and I'll do 75 minutes. But this time he was like, I don't want to perform. He was like, it's just you two. And I was like, so what?
Yeah, he wasn't quite so confident early on.
So I was like, what? I MC. And Pat was like, yes. And he was like, and I bring Alex on. And he was like, yes. And then I was like, and then after that, it's done. He's like, yes.
Just do as long as you can.
Yeah. So
that was the.
So it was just like, I'm opening. You know?
Here's a question.
It was a split bill.
I was just
You can't MC when there's no one after the opener.
Yeah.
Right.
How much, if anything, did the 5 or whatever audience members pay to be there?
Nothing.
It was free.
But
Okay, that's helpful.
He did go around and say, we've had, whatever drop out, there's only 2 acts, so you guys still want this show to go on. He said something along those lines, which always makes you feel more comfortable as a comic.
Yeah.
Because we've only got 2 acts, and they're not that experienced.
Yes.
So they
they're
can't do
shitting
that.
themselves.
To be fair to Pat, who booked it, he did end up going to all the people he roped in as well, being like, the headliner and MC at bailed. Like, it's just these 2 guys. Are you cool?
Do you still want
And then
to-
it'd like point at me and Alex, and
when
we'd
they
be
sit
like,
there, like,
hi. You know,
Yeah, like going up to a buddy, being like, "Do you going up to a girl, being like, do you like my buddy?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Do you like my buddy over there?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you still want to show yes, no, maybe?
And to be fair, like, and they ruled.
They were pretty good. Yeah,
like,
it was great.
Like, it wasn't like, a wall-to-wall crush fest because it was 5 people
They were
and you could
interested. They were
and you could
watching
clearly
that
hear the
laughing.
rest of the bar having a good time,
Yeah.
ignoring the stand-up. But like they
I
were
reckon we did 20 minutes.
they were
each.
good sports. Yeah, we
just
did
went
like
for
20 minutes.
so
each.
long.
And Alex did his soy sauce bit. And eventually like one of the guys got up.
Oh, I forgot the purpose of this
Yeah,
story.
Yeah.
One of the guys got up and like left, and we're like, oh fuck, like we walked one, and then but like he came back with a shot of soy milk
and made me do it. I'm
and
still
made
on stage.
Alex do it on stage.
And I'm like, this is revolting.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Would
was
you rather do a
great.
shot of soy milk or soy sauce?
Oh, for sure, soy milk. Come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
For
shot of
sure.
I think I'd rather do soy
awful.
sauce.
But it was one of those gigs where we were literally. I don't know about you, Jamie, but I remember being like, all right, what else jokes have I ever said out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got back
what
to
about
the
this one?
first ever
Yeah.
And they were loving it because we had already just been like, whatever, this is so weird.
I think we did
It
set
was
a
so much
precedent
fun.
because like I was like, I'm out. Like, what do you guys want to hear about?
Yeah.
And so
And
we
we
just
were
kind of like
just
riff with them
riffing.
and like we're like, this one's fucking old as shit. Are you cool with it? And they were fine.
It was one of those.
and
like-
we both got paid to do it.
Yeah,
That's
and it was
pretty
one of
good.
those ones where it's like it could have been a nightmare and it was a great time. And I've had a lot of gigs where you go and I call back to that moment when you turn up and you go, whatever, straight in the trenches. This will be great. You turn up there, it's like what this, and then it's
Turn
a
up, you're at
nightmare.
Wayward's. The marquee says Andrew Hastings.
And yeah, we'll win them back. And then it's a fucking. But that was.
I'm
that
a
was
very good comedian. Like, worked hard at my craft for a long time.
I said MC.
I am-
worked
I'm a competent MC.
Yeah, and sorry, did you say you work hard at your craft?
I work
A long time?
hard. It just doesn't. My hard
Do
work
you
maybe
work
just looks
hard?
different from your guys' hard
You
work.
work very hard.
I do work
He's
hard.
an excellent comedian.
Exemplary.
Oh my god.
Should we get into
No,
this
I
thing?
have something on soy milk real quick.
Okay.
I was consuming some pornography the other day,
Alright.
as is my wont, and it was a video of a girl doing stuff with like soy sauce. Like she gave herself like a soy sauce, not soy sauce, sorry, soy milk. Sorry, I should clarify.
Yeah, soy sauce is
milk.
very
They're
different.
very
She was
different,
like, she was like putting like soy milk up herself.
Why?
I guess because it's white. I don't know.
Oh,
No,
it's like,
it's like what
It's
is
like
that?
a
Like
bukkake
a
thing.
vegan
She was also
milk
well,
bullshit.
she is vegan,
Oh
but she was
my
So it's
pouring.
like a vegan cum show.
So I follow her on OnlyFans. It wasn't sought out, and she was doing like a whole thing
So when
with
you follow
soy milk.
someone on OnlyFans, you have to pay.
Yeah,
It's like a
Do you
subscription
pay
service.
for her?
I pay for a few people.
How many?
people?
4. I think.
How much money is that?
They're like vary from I think like $7 to $15 a month.
And how many of them are
That's
peripherally
like
involved with the
Netflix,
comedy
dude.
scene?
Yeah, that's a lot. If you
0
pull
are
it
involved
up.
with comedy.
My friend,
Peripherally,
hers is
though?
20.
0.
Fuck, she better drop the goods. Like, how was she?
She showed me some of the goods, and that it's not bad.
But like, is there a lot?
She puts a fuckload of content on.
It varies content creator to content creator, but
If you're gonna charge $20 a month,
Yeah.
She puts a
I'm
heap.
surprised
She's like
you
she does like
haven't
2 or 3
considered
photo shoots a
OnlyFans.
week. Like, because like,
Fair enough,
there's
I
just
suppose.
pervy photographers who want to take photos of sex workers. Like,
Yeah, whatever. I mean, like, you should support people if they're doing that, but I feel like, you know, if you're going to spend $50 a month on it, it's like
One of the people I follow, I get a bit like, all right, for this price, you should be posting more often.
Yeah.
But like,
For this price, you should have
no, but
a
it's the
big-
person I want to see the stuff of the most.
Show us.
Um,
I'm surprised you haven't ever considered getting an OnlyFans.
I've considered it.
yeah, surely he has.
Is there
Who would
straight
pay
male
for it?
OnlyFans?
You seem to think that you have a niche.
Yeah, as
That
in
you're
like
fulfilling.
Aren't you
niche
buff
for
now?
girls I can fuck on Tinder, not a niche to monetize my body.
The rumor is that Hastings is
know.
buff now.
Hastings was buff, and then Hastings
Oh,
lost
God,
it all
was
over
revolting.
COVID.
He was like,
Though I
he
am
was
buff
trying
again
to
now.
do like little like.
I was
pull-up
doing
sit-up
I was
things
doing,
in my kitchen before.
I was working out
waiting
in
for you.
Rose's
He's like-
kitchen. Just
He's like, oh God, I'm so buff. That
that is true.
Like you couldn't have got here quick enough.
Yeah. Well, I was like super fucking buff before COVID, and now I'm just like
No.
regular buff. Now I'm just like
no.
like
you,
I was
you
like
don't approach buff in any
I was
way.
like Super Saiyan Goku before COVID, and now
You
I'm just
are-
like regular
You
Goku.
are ruining this for me because Alex is. Yeah,
I said Hastings said he's buff, and then James was like, "No, he's not. It's a bit."
No, I didn't say no, he's not. I didn't say no, he's not. I said Hastings is doing it as a bit. He doesn't think he's like super.
no,
buff.
I genuinely think I'm the size of Super Saiyan Goku. What are you talking
No.
about?
And to be fair, I was just saying that Hastings is like buff. He's been working out and stuff. You know, doing
Alex, I weigh
stuff.
62 kilos.
Yeah,
I know
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
buff.
I wasn't like ripping on you, but you
That's
were
how much a
saying.
girl weighs.
But I
Dude,
said
I
the
know.
word buff, and you said he doesn't think he's buff, and you were saying it's a bit. I'm like,
I was saying.
So
that
what
he
is the
does it-
question? Is it a bit?
Yes.
Well, that would ruin the bit.
Yeah, it's a bit.
I
It's-
weigh 64 kilos. I know I'm not massive.
no, I know.
you just added 2
Obviously.
kilos to the last number you gave.
I was telling
I
the truth the second time.
I know I'm 84 kilos.
Yeah, 62 is what I was at, like, not long after the appendix. That I'm 64 at the moment.
All right, let's get into
Post
it.
bouldering.
Okay, let's get into it. Welcome to We'll Just Tell Your Mother. We added all the podcasts about teen sex comedies and things thereabouts and things very much
And
not
being
thereabouts.
huge.
It is week 4 of the Off-Center experiment where we watch every episode of the failed WB sitcom Off-Center. This week we watched episode 10, Guy Gone Wild, episode 11, The Good, the Bad, and the Lazy, and episode 12, The Gas Crisis. I am Rose Piper,
really skinny.
and we are joined by my co-hosts.
Jamie Kirk.
And-
Shirtless Andrew Hastings.
And we're joined by the returning champion, maybe the most tenured guest on the pod at this point, Alex
No.
White.
Male. Most tenured male, maybe. Alex White. Steph's been on more, right?
Well, maybe you're now even with her and Bensley.
Hastings almost
Who
has
knows?
cum gutters.
Thank you. I almost had cum gutters before COVID too.
You do get cum
You
gutters
also
just
have
from being
lines
skinny.
here,
I used
but
to
I
have
don't
cum
think
gutters
they're
when
a
I was younger.
six-pack.
He's
no,
just,
that's they creases.
to
in
be
my
fair,
stomach.
he's just got cum in his belly button.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you guys want to see my
It's not a
scars?
cum drain.
I got appendix scars. I got one in my belly button, and I got one.
That's the second.
That's the other. Oh, there's also
Yeah.
one like just above my dick.
I got one
No, that's
here.
your urethra.
Girls love scars, you know.
They'd be like, "This is the scar."
Not emotional ones.
Do you want to
though.
know how I got these scars? Yeah, I shit myself in a hospital bed
Yeah.
like 3 times.
I was thinking like just like being like, "Oh yeah, this is my appendicitis scar above my dick." There, it's like Andrew, that's a vagina and a clitoris. What do you?
It's pretty funny.
Okay,
a
episode synopses. Episode 10. Mike learns about Liz's wild past and sets out to do things he missed out on
Great episode.
when he was growing up. Things take an uncomfortable turn after Mike and Liz have sex at the office when they discover their surveillance cameras. Episode 11.
Great episode.
Should we go ep by ep? Or
Yeah, one at a time.
Okay, let's that one.
Alex, you'd never seen Off Center before,
It's-
had you?
This is the worst fucking show. Honestly, it may be the worst.
See, you were
show.
telling me about this, right? And it made me think for a second because you were like, it's one of the worst shows I've ever seen. And I thought, like, fair, it's bad.
Yeah, it's
but
really bad.
then, like,
But it's
what sitcom is immediately great? I was thinking.
Community.
Arrested Development.
30 Rock.
Like,
Parks and Rec.
No,
No,
Parks
Parks and Rec is not
famously
guess, yeah.
season 1 shit.
no,
But also Parks and Rec, and The Office took one season, but still only 6 episodes. This is episode 10.
Hold on.
But also, like,
a
the
single
bad
camera
the-
or a laugh track style sitcom.
Both.
None of those are them. Right? That's a different genre of comedy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Friends.
Friends?
Friends isn't
So
great
you-
season 1.
No, but you'd
Friends-
much rather watch Friends,
Friends
than
is
this.
so much funnier, and I'm not a big fan of Friends. But this
How
is
I Met Your
How I
Mother
Met Your
also
Mother,
is
you would
better.
also much rather watch than this, I think.
And I feel
Right
like
from the
that,
get-go.
like that canned laughter style it makes the writing be like in this weird like jokey way where it's like you got to end on a joke, but it doesn't have to be funny. You just have to sound like a joke.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
I noticed that really starkly in like all three of these episodes is when there like is laughter, and I'm like, I don't think that was even a joke.
That was
Yeah.
not a
But
joke.
they just
It
put some canned
sounded-
laughter in there.
Exactly. And it changes the writing. Whereas if you're not doing a laugh track of a show, you can't do that. You have to make it either funny or just not a joke and just progressing the plot. And this is like, I feel like one of the biggest culprits of a show where they just like literally have so many laugh lines that are not funny.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I was watching this, and I haven't watched a sitcom like this in a long time. I've been watching a bit of Seinfeld and stuff, and there's some like lines in Seinfeld that are just corny.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
It
this
was.
is-
It is like it is one of these with Seinfeld.
Seinfeld
it's
took about
shocking.
9 episodes to get good as well.
Sure, but even in the good episodes,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a couple of throwaway little.
Yeah.
Whenever I
we
was-
haven't- we
Because
haven't
they do
laughed
know
in-
they have the advantage of the laugh track.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we haven't had a laugh in a minute. We got to.
It's also
Someone's going to say something.
Whenever I watch
Yeah.
Seinfeld, I have the same thing where I'll be watching. I'll be like, "Oh, this is genius! This is incredible." Then a line will come up, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's right! It's 1991." Like, it'll bring you back into time.
Have I ever brought this up on the pod? I used to live with this guy called Nick, right? And we never figured out why. It's one of the most psycho things I've ever seen. Was like, and like we like Nick. Nick's a good guy, but he used to watch Seinfeld, and he had like a book where he would tally every time someone got a laugh. So he just had like pages for like Jerry,
What, Jordan?
Elaine, Graham,
So it was
George,
based
whatever,
on
and then like
character.
other people or whatever, and then just like add a little tick like every time they got a laugh or whatever. And I'm like, it's a laugh track, dude. But like,
yeah.
Can I-
like they chose, but I like
Was he thought
I
it
have
was
no
like the
idea
real
what the
world
point
or
of him
something?
doing this was. But he'd sit there and it was like work.
Can I say what I think is interesting about this story to me, though, is if someone told me that story, I'd be like, "Oh, that's like incredibly Rose Piper behavior."
Yeah, same. I was like,
Here I am.
I was
Yeah,
like,
weirded out
I
by
was
it.
like, Rose, is your friend Nick you?
That's the most Rose Piper thing I've ever heard.
Also, that like,
was she listening to UMI at the same time? Or like-
to be fair, interesting question that I think everyone should answer. If, and I'm going to do it with Seinfeld and like maybe Friends as well, if you were going to do laughs from the laugh track on a character by character basis, who in Seinfeld do you think would get the most?
George or no, Jerry. Jerry gives himself a lot of laughs.
I think it
What, you
might
li-
be George.
Yeah.
George.
You
My
mean-
guess would be George.
No, I mean Jerry's in more scenes than anyone.
Yeah, that's what I
right?
mean.
Like,
It's also you get the stand up front, and
Do you-
it's also a lot of the
that's
scenes.
You're
True.
discounting the stand-up.
All
It's
right,
all
there's a-
like
Jerry's in scenes with Elaine. Jerry's in scene with George.
Yeah.
George and Elaine are not in scenes together that often.
On,
It's clearly Jerry.
on, on top of that as well, a lot of the scenes, particularly in like the apartment, a lot of the scenes there is Jerry detached from the exposition dialogue that's happening between the characters, and he's kind of just doing weird, almost stand-up bits.
Well, he's a
just
straight
from
man.
the just
George
from the
does
kitchen.
something crazy, and then Jerry's like, "Oh."
But that
well,
means
then,
when
yeah,
in those lines,
yeah.
it's George will do something crazy, and then Jerry will roll his eyes, and Jerry gets the laugh. That's like a common Seinfeld structure.
okay. Then who in Friends then? Because that's ensemble.
Chandler.
Joey
Or-
absolutely get the most laughs.
I think if you did it by 10 seasons and
Gunther.
averaged it, it would be Gunther. No, it would be Joey.
yeah, I think Joey for sure.
But I think the thing with the difference
I think
in
it
those
would
shows-
start early. You'd like Chandler
be
would
at a huge
rock
lead.
it up.
Or Phoebe would also have a pretty high one, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
I
think
think the
Phoebe.
difference
They
between
don't give the girls as many laughs. I've
Yeah, but
noticed.
Phoebe is more like
Yeah.
Monica has a period.
Hastings doesn't think the girls are as funny. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Well,
wow,
it's not that I.
2020.
It's not that I think the girls aren't as funny. I know
just
that
believe
girls
they
aren't
aren't
funny.
funny.
I knew you were gonna fucking say that.
Yeah.
But like,
That was an excellent joke.
At some point, yeah.
ding ding ding.
Rose, at some point you got to stop taking credit for predicting my very predictable jokes. Let's see, I'm a dog shit comedian. What do you want? Like,
That's what I wanted.
And
That's
scene.
what I wanted.
And that is the end of We'll Just Tell Your Mother We Ain't It All.
We finally got what we
put me in
wanted.
a podcast.
Thanks for stopping
Yeah.
by,
Get me to
everybody.
To the last step.
Yeah. You created a podcast around me to make me realize how bad a
This is
comedian
the
I am.
Truman Show. No,
Yeah, at the end you just wore this has been a fake podcast the whole time. We're just like, do it.
no. But to bring it back to the fucking she show,
Dog shit
what
show.
was off center is that
Yeah.
like Friends and all that have corny lines, but the situations are funny. right?
Yeah.
After, especially Seinfeld, the situations are hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And this show, it seems like there's no funny situations.
Yeah.
And there's just corny lines. And that is a whole... Like, if there was corny lines... But the first episode... Is it the first episode where he's, like, jerking off on the couch? Or
Well,
whatever?
Rose, can you remind us
honestly-
what happens in this episode quickly?
Well, that was the one where Mike and Liz
We watch the Girls Gone Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
So Liz is a girl's gone wild.
that was the episode where Chow was staying on their couch.
I thought that was fun.
Can I?
The thing with Chow, I think
The very end where Chow did all that stuff and then
And
smiled
then-
because he was
yeah.
going to beat off in the
like
couch.
Yeah.
that's
Like,
the
for a
best the show has
I
been
agree.
so
I
far.
I think
That's
that
the best the show's
I
been
think
so
That's my
far.
first episode.
I think that
Which is
episode-
obviously so like obvious that he knows that.
Yeah,
like,
but for a
Ewan's
laugh
watching
track
him, like-
sitcom in 2002.
Yeah. I think
Maybe,
that's the
but
best
it's
episode of the
still-
show I've seen so far, and that gag specifically with the couch and the joking off is best joke of the show.
Also, like the
Yeah.
pure
As a
essence-
running
Which
thing, where he's, so,
unbelievable.
he's
yes,
caught
is
so
a
dead to
damning
rights.
indictment.
It's
That
funny.
is- that was my...
It is a damning indictment on the
He's
overall
got him.
quality.
He's
of
got
the
him dead
show.
to rights.
Also,
it's
like
funny.
the pure escalation of Chow every time coming up with like
it's
the
more obvious.
yeah, where he's like,
Yeah, he's explaining-
I took my
because-
sock off to blow my nose.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
so
a like
stupid.
gassy blah, 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 whatever.
And then
Like,
the British
because John
guy-
Cho is a good
Oh,
performer.
man.
Yeah.
And like Chow as a character. I mean,
He's
I
the
know.
best character.
Well,
of the
did
show.
you notice about this episode? Absolutely no status quo.
Yeah.
Just shafted.
Yeah, he's
Status
the
Quo
ones,
gets
though.
a little bit of a
What's-
bigger role in one of the
He's the
other
black
ones.
guy.
The rapper who's like really erudite.
Oh, is
Yeah.
he?
He's a
lives
main
across the
character.
road?
He's a main character. Yeah, and
Lives
he's
across
not
the
even in
thing?
that episode.
Yeah.
What if instead of being like a I don't see race guy, Alex was like a I don't see black people.
Why?
Status Quo was never in an episode.
That's my sixth sense.
I was about to say I have a secret.
I don't see.
That would be very funny.
You can only see
well,
half
you
of
know,
your partner.
it would make
Yeah.
sense. Your name is Alex White.
Yeah, that is true.
So what's the
That
other?
is a strange
So
name, though.
Chow beats off.
Also,
and
by the way,
other-
Chow is
Yeah,
a
that's
Vietnamese.
the B plot.
But yeah, John Cho's clearly South Korean or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's so weird.
Well, he
Like,
runs a Vietnamese restaurant in the show.
Yeah, it seems weird. Like because back then that was just so cool, and nowadays you couldn't do that. You couldn't just
Yeah.
cast a fucking South Korean guy. So just make him South Korean. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah,
weird.
it's not like the audience fucking know the difference.
Yeah,
like,
no,
what do you
but it's just so weird. Like that's
You know,
woke.
3.
Also,
10
it
years,
comes
20 years
out that
ago.
his name in this, and I'm not sure if it's a bit, but like it's on
No,
Wikipedia.
it's-
His
it-
name is Chow Presley.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Have you guys
What?
ever had Vietnamese food?
Yeah.
So good.
What? Like no one went and got pho when it was a thing.
Other than
Vermicelli.
pho, yeah.
Vermicelli noodles.
Yeah, dude.
But overall Vietnamese is great.
Dude, I love fucking Vietnamese food.
The war though, pretty sick.
I think of all the wars, you know how like the cold take is like of all the wars, best soundtrack. What if the take was like of all the wars, most rapes? So
Oh God. Yeah.
Probably
saying
would.
it's a good
Yeah,
thing.
wow.
Probably would
Okay,
be.
Let's hope the memory card.
I
dropped
take
through all
exception to that joke.
Exception, very good.
that. Oh wow.
Yeah, man, it's a good thing none of you three have ever made a bad joke in your
Never.
lives.
No, I'm really good.
I'm
I've been
worried.
on the telly.
I'm very worried.
I was on
There he goes.
a lineup once. I've been on lineups.
I
Seen
closed.
that,
I
have you
closed the
seen that
bracket at
Lee,
Sweeney's.
Lee Mack joke, or he's
I
like,
love Lee Mack.
where he's like, he's in British version of like Harvey Norman, and some goes, oh, you're that mad bloke off the telly. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
He goes,
yeah.
No, you're that mad bloke.
Off the
Off the
telly. Oh shit! Sorry.
I love it.
Yeah, Lee Mack is so funny.
Maybe the funniest.
What's the second episode of the
The
bunch?
second episode of this awful little run was.
I think it's getting better.
the,
You guys ever fucked
these
Hold on,
three
I got more
were.
on the first episode if you want to do that, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, no, go.
You guys ever fucked at work?
No, I beat off a word.
I have.
It never worked like a week ago.
I beat off.
Well, I mean, like technically, I beat off at work almost every day.
I beat off at work once.
Yeah, you've had sex at work.
yeah, I've, yeah,
With your
in my
wife.
house. Yeah.
Oh, like here's the funny thing, right? I was an ex of mine, right? Would very rarely want to engage in sexy texting. But
Sure.
Sexting. But on this day in particular, she wanted to, so I was getting very excited by that.
Sure.
So we were like sexting a bit, and like it came up to my lunch break, and I was just like, I've absolutely got to go. Like this is pre-coming out, pre-hormones, everything. I'm
Wow.
like testosterone pumping. I'm like, I've got to
Hold
go.
on. Did you say pre coming out or pre cum? coming out.
Yeah.
No.
Pre-coming
coming out as transgender.
Okay,
Like
all right.
pre-hormones and
Free
everything.
coming out.
I mean, like maybe pre-coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
wowie.
But so I go
Man,
downstairs.
are you partnered with Sammy J? Because you sound randy.
Oh, I was. But I went to the downstairs bathroom and just like pounded one out like really quickly.
Fuck yeah.
Jesus.
And then I like come out and I'm washing my hands. But that bathroom, we had a bathroom upstairs, but I'm going down to that one because less people go in it. But it was attached to like another sort of business there. It was like a children's charity.
Oh.
And another comedian.
Episode of Off Center. You know?
Yeah, but
What a regular Liz you are.
yeah, but another comedian worked in there, and while I was washing my hands, they walked in, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was fucking like
Would you say they're
20
the,
seconds away.
Would you say they're the funniest comedian you've ever met?
Yeah, up there.
Wow.
Sick, dude.
I didn't fuck at work, but I once worked with someone that we were fucking, and she lived.
When you say we were fucking,
I
who do
found
you
out
mean?
at the.
You don't know them.
Okay.
I found out
I thought
at
you
the-
meant like we, as in all four of us.
No,
No, just me and Alex
You
were
would,
fucking.
you would remember
What
that.
I heard-
I remember you telling me
But-
the story. Yeah,
But she lived nearby. She lived literally like 300 meters away in a unit, and we went back in lunch.
Oh, I
Oh,
remember
lunch
this.
break rotting.
Yeah.
That's fucking good.
that actually
Which
is tight
was-
as well.
which was amazing because it was like no guilt. There's no like no one's gonna. I feel like if you're gonna fuck in an office, and I've been in offices where it's like people, you might be the last two people there, but I could never fuck. I would feel
Yeah.
so paranoid about someone walking in.
I
could never
actually
enjoy it.
In the last
actually
office-
when I worked at my last like full-time job, I came back here one day to fuck during my lunch break.
But that's you feel calm. You feel like like
Yeah,
you know,
because
what
I
mean? No one's
lived
gonna
like
walk
I lived
in.
like a few minutes walk from
Like
the office.
I
so, like-
can't fuck like that and
Yeah.
be like, oh, what the fuck? How could you know?
I have
It's
one
not
that
a-
like I've told like a brag for years, but it sounds like more sad the more you tell it. It's just like I used to work like a big W, and like my
that's
girl,
pretty bad, man.
yeah, my ex girlfriend at the time used to like live really close there. So what I would do is like I'd like go on
Often
lunch.
jerk off in a mailbox.
Left you a present, sweetie.
I was like,
You missed this, didn't you?
Damn.
You got mail, bitch.
I told you not to tell my stories.
Sorry, man. Stepping on your toes. Yeah, tell the story.
So I would like leave like this big W and like get in my car and I'd order like Pedro's Pizza. It was just like a local pizza chain. I'd be like, yeah, I'll pick it up. And they'd be like, yeah, it's 30 minutes. So I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there in 29. And I'd go to my girlfriend's house, have sex with her.
Right, Alex, you alright? Ex or
Yeah, well, she's not my current wife.
girlfriend. No, but
No.
girlfriend.
She
at
was
the
my
time.
girlfriend at the time.
okay,
yeah.
sorry. I thought
I'd go
you-
have sex with her and she'd be like, that was great. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm hungry. And then I'd get back in my car, drive to Pedro's Pizza, pick it up, 30 minutes. And then take that back to the car parking lot at Big W where it had staff parking. And then I'd eat that in my car. And then I'd go
You
back.
must have went
Man.
back into work and be like, I rule.
Oh yeah,
My
you
life-
got it all done.
Such a champion.
My life is so good.
Oh, well, the point of that story is life has not got better.
No, but like,
Oh right.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
why? Yeah, but that.
I had a
that-
horrifying
that
revelation
rules.
one year at the Engadine Pizza Hut Christmas party.
Scott Morrison shit his pants in there. Yeah, vote out the libs.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, but
Nah, don't.
no.
They're sick. They
My
protect me.
sister had gotten extremely drunk and
Oh, God.
told a story to somebody else who we worked with.
In the family, mum.
No, it was somebody else that we worked with who felt it appropriate to come and tell me that apparently my sister and her boyfriend, who
Fuck yeah.
also worked there, were like very frequently rooting on the table that I did all my work.
Oh,
Fuck
my
yeah.
Goodness.
Sick.
At KFC?
No, in the back of Pizza Hut.
Oh, pizza.
On the
Oh,
wash
Oh, that's
table.
completely different.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Well, I'm never eating there again.
That's
Man, I might get some pizza tonight.
Yeah, same. What
Man.
happens in the second episode?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, yeah,
no one
what's
asked
your
me.
point?
I'm the most disgusting person here. I've got heaps on this.
Yeah, I
Go
don't
on.
want to hear about it. I'm gonna go and hang out with.
I
you.
w-
Macca's, right?
Oh yeah, I don't even care. That's
Oh
par
yeah, probably
for the-
fingering people in meat freezers. Hey, that's not a trade family anyway.
That's like the best joke I've ever written.
I
I'll
think
defend
it's
that one till I die.
Secretly fat.
I'm not that anymore though. Also, I don't think that's as good as the other one. Anyway, let's not
Secretly
debate
fat's a great joke.
which of my shitty one-liners is my best. No, so yeah, I obviously like at Macca's and stuff when I was a kid. I used to get gobbies in the change room all the time. Obviously.
You have to.
But you were talking about not liking being with a partner who doesn't like to sext or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a few months ago. My bloody wife was like, "You haven't asked me for nudes in like years." And I was like, all right, so
You sleep next time.
yeah, that was my argument. But I was
You're like, I could be like
But imagine
on the
some-
bed and be like, hey, why don't you wear that thing I like, and then be in front of me.
Yeah.
I'd only ask my wife for nudes if like we're in
Right.
different like cities.
Yeah.
Sure,
That's what I would
but
do.
also
That's true.
she
That's what I was
knows
gonna
that
say.
I like getting them, and I know she likes sending them. So it's like it is one of those things where it's like we both do like that dynamic, but like whatever.
But both from different people.
Well, typically,
I think if that's
only in our relationship it was constant. It was dick pics and nudes.
I
flying
think
all
it's
over
Like
the
if
place.
Jamie Joanna could send me a nude.
I think if
Let's
that
not.
if that is the dynamic that you're after, then
Just
what
for
it should
Jamie's
be.
sake.
If that's the dynamic you're after, what it
He's
should
been
be
on the
then
pod.
is surprising the other person with nudes of you rather than like having to ask for them.
Well, no,
You
she
should
was
just one day be like, oh, she's at work. She won't be expecting
I
this.
think she thought that I didn't want them. So she was like, hey, you haven't asked me for nudes in years. What's that about? And I was
you want
like,
them?
all right, send me some fucking nudes.
Yeah, I don't think girls are really keen to like send nudes if they're unwanted. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like,
It's a risky move.
it's a risky move.
I've never got an unsolicited
I'll
tit
say
pic.
this.
I have.
I'll say this.
Yesterday.
I am currently seeing someone who has chucked me a few nudes, and it's a nice. It's
I-
good to
I-
be
I-
back.
Yeah, but like that's different from someone being like, "Here's my fucking titties."
I'll say a
Like,
faux pas. I'll say a faux pas where I got a nude. Like, it wasn't a nude. It was like a bra shot, and I didn't realize it was.
It was me.
The person sending it, I thought it was like a photo of them, like the model, or like, does this bra look nice? Do you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And I was like,
oh no.
and I was just like, and not that it looked bad, I just didn't
Yeah,
expect
yeah, it's
it.
fine.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. You know, what I mean? I literally was like, yeah, why are you asking me what your fucking bra looks like? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, buy it. I don't
Have
care.
I ever told this story on the podcast? Is I've occasionally done stand up about this. I don't feel like I've ever got the bit right, but like years ago, I got like a message just saying wrong number, sorry, from like a number I didn't have, and I just left it because I'm like, yeah, correct. And then like the next, it was a bit later. They texted and said, was for my boyfriend, really sorry. So I replied and said, like, I didn't get whatever you're sorry for, but I wish I did. Cause,
Oh, my Lord.
Damn.
That's a real Hastings move. Holy
That's a
shit.
real big.
Damn, we got a pervert on the podcast.
Man, I see, Rose, I respect you more now.
I could have left it there, but I thought it was funny to say.
No,
But,
no,
like,
respect.
Because this was like early days of iPhone or whatever, and I had like quite an old one that like took like a long time to receive media sometimes. So the next day, I got a thing from that number that said attachment 1 video.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was like all it was just a close up on like a girl's crotch, and she like,
All it was? That's the best
No, that
thing
make-
in the fucking world.
No, it makes more sense when I tell the rest of it. Like it was just like the crotch shot. She takes the underwear aside,
Dear Lord.
goes to Pussy Town for a bit with her fingers,
Oh, that's
and then
nothing,
ends.
You know, like
And then ends.
Pretty tame.
I'd stand by my initial criticism.
Yeah, I agree.
But the thing is, like,
goes to Pussy Town
after
for
I
45
said-
minutes.
but after I'd said like, I wish I got the thing, she said like, oh, good, it was a video. Like nothing more needs to be said or whatever. But I'm like. She was very upset that she had sent this to someone. One, my first question was like, wouldn't you have your boyfriend's number in your phone? But two was like, she was so upset by it. I'm like, but I don't know what she looks like. That's like the perfect crime.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just know what a vagina looks like in very grainy form. Like,
One time
Wow.
I
No
was...
tattoos, no like.
there was
Identifying
nothing like,
marks.
there were no great identifiers.
Anyway, so my wife was like, why don't you ask for nudes anymore? So I was like, all right, yeah, please send me some nudes. And I was like, if I'm being honest with you guys, I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I'll pay a bit of lip service to my wife, whatever. I ended up beating off to the nudes. And I was like, I just masturbated to my wife. Like it's bizarre.
Man, I'm glad we waited for that.
I also had sex in an office a bunch. I won't say when it was, but I was in an office job.
I know exactly when this was.
Hold on, you had sex in an office a bunch?
This was like years and years ago, but more recently, but I won't say when.
Much more recent.
To not incriminate anyone who like maybe has a
Were
partner they were
40s
cheating
old
on.
or- oh,
No,
right.
they-
literally
When I
everyone
fucked in
goes
the office,
home.
so when I actually fucked in the office, I was like 20. I did it once whenever I went home, and I would work like weekends sometimes, and then like she'd be like, "Oh, you're in the office, I'll come down."
But that scene in this shitty show was like they're like, oh, no one will see us. It's midnight, and then there's this ridiculous fucking like VHS camera,
which no one has.
No,
like,
and
not in an
it's like
office.
moving down to see and zooming in.
Yeah.
It's like this is so stupid.
Like, there's some security guard up in the top.
I will say, like, with that episode, like, they did subvert my expectations a little for a 2002 sitcom, because I thought the whole thing would be like,
I thought it was gonna be slut shaming.
I thought it would be like Liz is a slut, but it turned out to be like Mike's a prude,
No,
which
but
I
yeah.
like kind
But
of
they
appreciate.
did sort of be like, oh,
They
we're on-
did,
Which, if
but,
you've
like,
watched the rest of the show, though, it was pretty
it's a
good for
big,
them.
Big
Like,
step up, yeah.
Right.
Okay, episode 11. We had the good, the bad, the lazy. It was in desperate need of an enjoyable career. Mike heads to a career counselor. Meanwhile, Ewan focuses his attention on his new B-movie actress neighbor.
This has got Jason Biggs.
There's a bit
in
of
it.
a Jason Biggs cameo playing Rick Steve, the man with two first names.
Honestly, and like as someone who's not watched a show apart from these 2 episodes, was
Three
Jason
episodes.
Biggs. I
I don't reckon he
never
got through the third.
I got about halfway through the third. But Jason Biggs is actually really quite funny in this.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great.
And I think it's almost
Which is quite telling that like he was the star of American Pie and Eddie K.
And
Thomas
I don't
was not.
really, and you know you don't know like talent until you see lack of it sometimes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think like Finch or whatever the fuck the cunt's name is in this show.
Yeah,
Mike
we
in
can
this
just call him
show.
Finch.
Finch. He's like, you know, he's a straight guy, obviously, like this straight man, but it's like there's no funny. Like Jason Biggs is like
He's not a leading
funny-
man.
Yeah, funny. Jason Biggs is like good in this. He's funny, and that's the funniest I've seen this show. Is that scene. And it's not particularly funny written. He's just a funny, whatever. And there's that sort of
I
like,
quite like the idea of like I think the name Rick Steve is actually quite funny.
Yeah.
And then someone who refers to themselves in the third person as Rick Steve.
yeah. There's a couple of bits where, but he sells it and it's good. And I think that is one of the more redeeming qualities. I think this show, and just to nail this, is the fucking British guy,
Ewan.
is the worst character.
Yeah. Oh,
he
I've
sucks so
ever
much.
Seen
Yeah.
any show.
Yeah.
And just
It's
this
the
weird-
actor, the writing, every
everything.
element of it is
It's
bad.
so unnecessary. A rich British guy thinks he's
What's not to
hot.
like?
It's so unlikable,
Hmm.
and it's I'm a white guy, British version. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's
He
so-
keeps offering to pay for Mike as well, which
Yeah.
like makes
Yeah.
Mike seem like more of a cuck.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing about like bringing it back to Seinfeld is like Seinfeld in that show is he's rich. But he's not really. Like, he is a
They
successful
keep it
comedian.
quite vague how
They-
wealthy he
they-
is.
he's
in
not
it.
made
They
out-
really
Look,
dance around
he lives
it.
in like a pretty shitty little basic
Well,
apartment,
but it's also there are plenty of times where they make a point to be like, "I've got money, I'll lend you money." That's like a
Yes.
thing Jerry does because
Yeah.
in real life,
Well, he does
Seinfeld was
it
a
a
rich
lot
guy.
on the
like-
Tonight Show.
Exactly. And also, Friends, it's like the whole thing about, like, they're all losers, but they live in this incredible
Well,
apartment.
Friends, the
Yeah.
whole thing was like Monica's
do it in-
apartment.
yeah.
Monica's apartment was a sublet from her rent control grandma. So like the
Yeah.
place was supposed to be like
There's also
They
super
try
cheap, which is
explain
Joey
their
and
way
Chandler.
out.
well, which
Yeah.
is why like Joey and Chandler's is much shitter, but it's also
It-
nicer than
incredible.
most.
But it's also
two-bedroom
in the
apartments.
same building. Why is there such a stark difference?
I don't
No, you
know. Like
wouldn't have a
I
rent control
live
one
in a
to the other.
building. I live in a building where like some places are a lot better than others.
No, but
Like,
you wouldn't
I-
have
Like,
a
this,
rent
this
control
building,
one
sorry, the
to
building
other.
I live in, we're in the blast hole, is like everything is damn near identical.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I had to go into the apartment across the hall one night just to like check that the gas was off for my fucking landlord.
Yeah.
And it's like a mirror image of
But
Yeah,
that's-
right.
I mean, the point is that you would never get 6 friends in New York, Manhattan, where 5 or 6 of them, whatever, I can't remember.
You wouldn't
but
find
they're
people
all
in their
losers.
20s living in
They're all
Manhattan
losers.
now.
They're all
Yeah.
losers. Like, basically, they're all losers.
Like Ross
And-
would have had the best paying job. 'cause he
Exactly.
No,
worked in,
Chandler.
like-
Chandler had a good paying job all the time.
I get, but I'm just saying that
Rachel,
'cause,
when
like,
she was like high fashion, probably won.
But, like,
but I was just thinking that like because
none of
like
them living in Manhattan.
So
they're
they-
right.
they
like,
do-
surviving.
government-ish job because it's a
Yeah,
museum. that he
Chandler
worked
would
in.
live in Queens and be good there.
You know what? It's fine. It's a
They-
sitcom.
they also-
can fake it,
Yeah.
whatever. But they just like the fact that like the reason they did that is because it's not relatable to have rich people on in a
Yeah.
sitcom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this guy, I mean, even the loser guy in the show went to Oxford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like immediately you're like, oh, this guy sucks.
They're both elites.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then the other guy's like, oh, I went to Oxford, but I'm also rich. And I was like, why would we care?
Yeah.
And that, I feel like it comes out a lot in the is this the episode where he's like trying to like
The
fuck
video
neighbor?
game.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's a video game
Yeah.
one.
There's
Which is
also an episode of Friends
No, this is the one
early
where he's
on.
fucking the neighbor. He's trying to fuck the neighbor.
Yeah, but
The
more
next-
Mike goes for the video game job, right?
No, I'm
Like-
talking about Ewan. I
Ewan.
meant Ewan.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Yeah,
fuck
this is the one where
neighbor.
Ewan's trying to fuck the neighbor.
And he's like, I'm a bad guy underneath or something. I'm like, this guy's so unlikable.
yeah.
There's also-
he's like remains so
Yeah.
for like the whole thing.
Oh, God.
Jason Biggs in this episode.
Funny.
Yeah,
Did
Jason
you not
Biggs
hear
is
us bring that up like a bunch earlier?
All right, well.
Well, one
But
thing.
this says a lot for like this entire show, right? It's like because like the only people I know, as we've said, who have ever watched this is me, Jamie, and my sister. And my sister, like, I messaged her and was like, "Hey, like, we're gonna do a thing on the podcast where we're gonna watch every episode of Off Center," and all she did was like message back the words Rick Steve. So that's like the memorable thing from the
Yeah.
show was that there was a guy called Rick Steve.
First
Like-
name, double first name starting with Rick is a thing. Rick Steve, Rick James, Rick Ross.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But the whole thing about having two first names, I felt that was an old Aussie thing. Have you
I
ever
think
heard
it's
your
like
dad
just
I've
an
heard
old
the two first
stand.
names.
don't trust someone
Yeah.
with two first names? Is that, I
Yeah.
thought it was an old Aussie. Like,
I think it's just an old stand-up.
Yeah, it's just an old thing. Yeah.
There's an interesting like
What about
through.
don't trust someone with two last names? He's been an AFL player called Campbell Brown.
There is
Wow.
there is an interesting
That's
through
awesome.
line in these 3 episodes about Mike. I feel like, which is the first time like Mike's interesting, but they kind of throw it all away. Where like Mike, they've insinuated in the episodes before that Mike has this like not-for-profit job that's like about saving the world, but in those episodes, like they're never like he's super passionate about it and stuff.
who's
You know,
Mike again?
Mike's the main character, Finch.
Okay, sorry, yeah. But
So
yeah,
he's
he
the one that
on
works for the non-profit.
The one he fucks in the office. of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
non-profit.
So like the first bunch of episodes, it's like, oh, well, Ewan's rich, but Mike also went to Oxford, and he lives here because he altruistically decided to get a job working for a non-profit. And then the first episode, they feature his job. He's like, oh, I fucking hate it. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just like,
he's like, I don't give a shit
all
about
right.
these animals.
yeah, he
and
doesn't.
stuff.
He doesn't care about
So
them.
hold on.
He's
Can
also
I just-
clearly
Mike's just like a nihilistic prick.
Yeah, he's
10
also
episodes in, they don't mention his job at all.
They've
No, they
mentioned
have
it.
mentioned
They've
it.
mentioned it, but it's like it's assumed that like in the previous episodes that he does it because he cares about the world.
And then the 10th
Yeah.
episode is
and
the
then
first
the first
one.
Yeah.
episode where it's actually featured.
the
is like,
analog
don't
I
give a
was
shit at
thinking
all.
is how like in How I Met Your Mother.
Also, you never hear. I think I'm fairly certain you never hear until this episode
Liz
that
works
Liz
with him.
also works there
Yeah.
and is essentially his boss.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It was kind of like analogous to like how in How I Met Your Mother, like Marshall is kind of like a legal aid environmental lawyer.
Yeah.
But like through that series you discover like that's his passion and he like will sacrifice like getting a high paying job for that. Whereas like Mike is kind of like he wants to save the world. And like the first couple of episodes do a thing where like Mike could have got a better job if he wanted to save the world. But then he's
Yeah.
sitting there being like, I'd rather take the day off and hang out with my bros.
Yeah.
And also, my bitch girlfriend works here now, and I hate that.
Yeah.
And then, like,
Kiss
half,
me at work.
yeah, and then like she won't kiss me, and then like now I've rooted her. I realize I'll do anything but that. And then he
Yeah.
gets that.
They really paint her out to be such a shrew.
Yeah. And then he gets that video game job, and that's where like I actually looked up like all the writers from the first season,
Yeah.
because it just has classic like old sitcom writer where like they don't understand what a video game is,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they're just like Mike's like impassioned speech is about perspective.
The hand
Yeah, yeah.
fist.
And in 2002, you're like, yeah, everyone, it's all 3D. Like, it's
Yeah.
either first person or third person. Like,
Also, like the incredibly lazy, ham-fisted way they managed to like connect Ewan's job to like Mike being in video games is just like this is.
Yeah.
There was no
yeah.
effort put into
and it's
this
just
at all.
It's just a bunch of old Jewish guys at a typewriter being like, well, what would a 21-year-old be into?
It's
Like,
also like I don't know a lot about the video game industry, but my understanding is that it's like an incredibly like passionate and by default like underpaid, overworked, exploited like
because it's
workforce.
like an artistic pursuit for a
yeah,
lot of
exactly. Like it is. Exactly. There's no way the guys in the office of a video game production company are being like, "Who gives a shit about the video game?" They're all losers getting paid half what they
Yeah,
should be getting
yeah,
paid
yeah.
for their qualifications.
do keep in mind that this was like maybe before like
Before like crunch shit
Well,
started.
before, no, like Crunch was there, but like it was before like AAA prestige games like were known for being in
03,
America
they were like
as well.
starting up, but I guess they were also primarily
But like
Japanese.
a lot of Japanese, like there were like Doom is American and stuff, but like that was when like video game
Rare was UK still at that time.
Yeah, but it's also like video game
They had
culture
big
then
AAAs
was like,
though, like-
but that was like celebrated as being like, yeah, it's just a bunch of single dudes eating pizza and coding all
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
Not now. It's like, oh, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
bunch
like I
of-
miss my wife.
Yeah, it's a bunch of white people like being worked
Yeah.
at the death.
It wasn't a $1 billion industry in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
it was.
right.
It was. You know.
Yeah, sure. It's like makes more money in the movie industry at the moment. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Like, yeah.
You know, there's probably 150 jobs in fucking America or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Now
was-
it's like a I see
it
what you're
was
saying.
an actual industry.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess the point you can kind of forgive the writers for not really understanding that, but it's also like
Well, whatever.
Make a phone
maybe
call.
they knew what it was, and they were like actually comedically.
yeah,
No
sure.
one would give a shit, and also it makes more sense like this. But it's also, but then it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's things like that where it's like, if they're gonna do something that's not correct, make it funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you
absolutely.
can't- you
Yeah.
can't
Make it
sort of-
over. Make that the joke.
Make that the bit. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
sort of just like get it wrong, and then it's also just stupid. You know, you got to do it for a fucking reason. And I feel like this is like a precursor to like Big Bang Theory. It was like let's have like nerds sort of be the stars and losers, but they can figure it out in a way. Like they just.
But we've said before, like even though he's obviously shitty and a loser, like Ewan is probably supposed to be like, fuck yeah, look at that legend.
Yeah,
Like-
but I feel like and again I probably watched 9 minutes of the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I've
But-
watched every episode.
Yeah, and I'm not-
Every episode
Yeah, I think so.
of the entire, isn't there hundreds?
Yeah.
God,
Yvette does the thing where she'll get locked into a show for a few months and she'll have it running on the TV 24 hours, not 24 hours, other than sleep constantly. So 16 hours a day, she'll have it running constantly and just she'll watch the show back start to front 5 times in a row.
To be fair,
And over a few years of her doing that, I've seen every episode.
to be
Yeah.
fair, I've had the same experience with Sex and the City, where
Yeah,
I've
for
never
sure.
sat down and turned it on.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen every fucking.
I've
episode.
definitely
Yeah.
seen every episode.
But
of
at least
Sex
Sex
and
and the
Yvette,
City's-
Yvette's doing at the moment. Yvette's working from home at the moment, so she's doing every single day. She does the entire series of 30 Rock.
Right.
I love 30 Rock.
But-
Man, me too. I'm pretty fucking sick of it right now. Oh, my big take from me though. I think the Queen of Jordan episode's like the best episode.
They're very funny.
That's
It's
such a
cancelled,
good
though.
episode.
Okay, let's move on to the last episode.
I
'cause
really wanna talk
I
about the last
need
episode.
to pee, and I have somewhere to be that I'm supposed to be in 3 minutes.
Well, you
Okay,
want to be
well, we've
there.
got like at least a half hour to go.
Okay, so the gas crisis. Mike becomes increasingly comfortable with Liz, which leads to behaviour that Liz is not too fond of. He's farting. Meanwhile, Ewan avoids a woman who often breaks his heart, and Status Quo works on a new song with Chow. It's nice to see Status Quo
Yes.
get a bit more time.
Rose, could you confirm for me? Is this is episode 12? I
This is
believe
episode 12.
This episode to me was notorious because it's the first episode of the entire show that we've seen where Ewan's behavior is not rewarded.
He loses.
Yeah.
He finally
It's the-
loses.
Like, you haven't seen the episodes before this, correct, Alex?
No.
So every time Ewan does something sociopathic in this sitcom, he eventually wins. So it's like, oh, would you believe I lied to 2 women and I was telling them I was dead and now they think I'm a rapist. And then like Mike's like, yeah, well, that's what you get, dude. And then Ewan's like, I guess that is what I get. And 2 women walk out of his bedroom. They're like, you just gave me the most mind-shattering I've ever
like
had.
even
Like,
episodes where it looks like he's had a big win, he still or big loss, he still walks off with a victory in some way.
it usually
The first
involves
time
with
he actually loses.
Yeah, it usually involves him fucking more than 1 woman in the same night. Like,
Sorry, just you saying that's the best I've ever. Just something funny happened to me the other day where
gave the woman the best show she's ever had. Is that
no,
I'm pretty ready
It's-
to go.
I just busted.
go pee.
I did. Yeah, go
No, I just
pee.
mean I don't want to hear your shitty story.
I was having sex with a lady and I busted in a condom inside of her, and
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Pee.
afterwards, I said, "Oh, did you?" Because it seemed like maybe she had, and I was like, "Did you come?"
no, no, she hadn't.
This was without irony. Her response. I was like, "Oh, did you?" Like I was like offering to, like I was like, "Oh, I can get in there if you need." But I was like, "Did you come?" And she was just like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Oh," so I was just like, all right. And then 20 minutes later, she was just like, actually, can you like? And I was like, all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Actually, can you pass me my vibrator? I'm not done yet.
Oh my God.
Whatever.
Was this in what state was this in?
This was in New South Wales.
Okay, all right.
Was
Let's
it?
narrow it down. Let's
Yeah,
play Guess
okay.
Who.
No, I know. I know exactly. Who
I'm
it was.
only having sex with one
Yeah, I know exactly who
person
it
sitting
is.
at the moment.
Yeah, I thought this episode was pretty bad, but like,
So hold on, what happens? Because I feel like I did watch some of.
so this is one where like Ewan is trying to get out of dating some chick, so he like wants people to say he's dead. Also, at the same time, Chow. But like Ewan has some chick that like always gets the better of him by dumping him. So Ewan preemptively dumps her, and to get back at Ewan, she dates Chow.
Yeah.
And so like she dates Chow for a bit. Chow ends up dumping her. In the meantime, like Chow's also writing songs for Status Quo, and they're all by rock bands from the 70s. Like there's
Were
like,
they all that, or was it just the last one was carry
I think
on
it
my
was
way with
a,
something?
I think it was just, but like that's a decent joke where the woman is like, is that not Journey? And she's
Yeah.
like, no, Journey sucks. It's Kansas. Like that's a good joke if you've got like a grasp of
Absolute
that.
sidebar about the woman. The worst attempt at a British accent I think I've ever heard. Why not hire a British actor, or just don't have her be British?
Yeah, Sean
Like,
Maguire
it was
must have been turning
so
in his
bad.
grave. Considering as
Especially
well,
when
like,
they have a fucking British
Have
person
you seen?
there.
Have
like,
you seen Green? What's that?
I've seen Avatar.
Green
No,
Street
no,
Hooligans,
Ricky
Green Street
Worthington's.
Hooligans.
Charlie
And
Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, and
He is British.
No, but he's fucking from. He's a Geordie.
Yeah.
He's from Newcastle, and they get him to play a Cockney, and he has the worst Cockney accent. It's like
we can't even do a bit of fucking Danny Dyer.
Yeah, but it's like that. It's like it's any of us doing a Cockney accent, and it's like they don't.
All right,
understand. They're
governor.
like, oh, he's British. You're fucking. And it's
Well, you
like,
don't think I'm not covered, but I just can't do it, eh?
Britain there's an accent every 40 minutes. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so ridiculous, and it's so off-putting.
Yeah.
It's like, where are you from? And they're like, 40 minutes up the A4. and you're just like, why do you sound so different?
Been
I
up the
know.
road there watching old Kingston
Yeah.
Rovers.
Yeah.
Why do you sound like you have a
That is
mental
hilarious. Like
disability?
that means because like if that means like Jamie, you're not even from Australia. Rose, the driving distance between where I was born and where you were born would be like an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
And Alex,
Nah,
3 hours.
Yeah.
Let's say
You
from
know
Sydney
why?
to Newcastle.
I'll tell you why. Right now, radio.
Ah.
Before radio, you never listen to anyone but from literally 10 kilometers around where you're from. As soon as radio
The
came
fits
out,
the whip.
you could listen to people
Yeah.
hundreds of kilometers
Kentucky
away.
chick.
So Australia came on board.
Also, it's true. Like white people have been in Australia for like 230 years.
Yeah, but radio's been around
No,
for
no.
long enough. But no, the point was the radio thing is true. Is that's why Australia doesn't have accents. And in England, everyone grew up in
There
Bristol.
are vague differences.
There
but
are,
It's
but,
not
but it's
huge.
nowhere near as big. And the
It's not a
distance-
difference between like
Well,
come from
also-
up there north and then like hello there, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
I've been down
But
on
it's
my
also
trailer.
like you might hear radio in Sydney and radio Melbourne and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's like literally like there's like 30 kilometers,
Radio
40
Melbourne's a bit
kilometers.
Mayan based.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
yarn
that's
based.
true,
There's a
yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of fucking.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking security guards down there, apparently. You know? Hastings on the door, you know, like fucking people.
Man, I would love to root someone in quarantine.
Imagine if-
That's
imagine
my
if we had-
ultimate
imagine
Did
if-
you, did you see a
Imagine if Powerbomb
friend
came
of the
back.
show
Powerbomb
passed?
came back, and then it was just like, someone fucked the door guy at Powerbomb and gave it COVID to everyone. It's like, Hastings.
Did you see a friend of the show and former guest Eloise Eftos got like a
Yeah, she's gone viral,
video,
dude.
she got picked,
Yeah,
but it
for
didn't
fake
though.
porno.
No, just pedestrian picture.
Like pedestrian picked it up, but then you went on there and you're like, oh, you don't even have like 1,000 likes.
All right,
Well,
well,
the
cool way to call her out publicly.
No, but like,
Wow.
but it's just like,
I love Eloise.
Man, Eloise is
Oh, the Eloise is
I'm
the
like
fucking
Rose.
best.
I love Eloise. Cut that.
No, Eloise is the best, but
Cut,
like, I
Rose.
just find
Cut
it
this.
weird that like,
Cut again.
like they picked up something like normally there'd be a yardstick or something like that.
Well,
I also kind of like picked her and tried not to credit her at first.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
just like,
Like-
someone did this.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, just fucking say it was it.
Okay, so we've talked about these episodes. We do a little thing at the end of the show where we got a little writers' room going, Alex,
All right.
where we're like rewriting this show to fix it. And so
More
far,
egg puns.
but you're the first guest that's the dishonorable trait of being a white male.
Oh my
Because-
Oh
goodness
yeah, true. We've had a
me.
woman
Alright,
and we've had
a
an
woman and an
indigenous man.
indigenous
All right, let's flagellate me.
so far,
I've got some Celtic
basically
or
what we've changed is Mike and Liz have broken up. So Liz has some agency.
Oh yeah, they're being canonical as well as we get through them. So yeah, that's happened.
Mike and Liz have broken up, and David Woodhead has changed Mike.
Mike is now Muslim.
Mike's a Muslim guy.
Because
reckoning.
this is in the very recent, like this show started.
You're making
like,
me
but this show started like a month after 9/11.
Oh, I thought you said Dave Woodhead said that. And I'm like, wasn't he like 4 months old? No, it's all right.
Yeah, no,
There was a kid at my work who was born on like 9/11, but like the 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Does he feel
Like-
guilty? Because I would.
Yeah. Well, he was born on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He made it out.
But yeah, this show came out like literally like a month after 9/11.
No survivors except for a 1-day-old baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Mike,
he thinks it'd be more interesting, and I agree that.
and it's
like,
canon now.
Yeah, it's canon. Now.
Mike
So
is-
Mike is now Muslim.
Mike is a Muslim guy reckoning with New York in a post 9/11.
yeah, living in New York.
The other big
Post
thing
9/11.
is that status quo has come out as a homosexual.
Because we theorized that he was originally supposed to be gay, and then someone nixed that
Yeah,
idea.
you probably haven't seen that
I
much of status
saw
quo.
a few clips of him, and I'm like, who's this guy? But I don't see colour, so...
Well, so our thing was like the previous episode, like my Ewan was like kind of like, why do people think I'm bloody gay? I'm just British.
Yeah.
And then like status quo was like, that's incredibly hurtful because like I actually am gay. So like Ewan and status quo grew closer together. And also, yeah, Mike's just a Muslim guy that misses Liz and is Muslim. And we've kind of positioned it where Chow, because John Cho is the best performer, he's the breakout star of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are you doing? You're playing music on your fucking
No,
phone?
an ad just started playing on my phone.
Yeah, because you're on your
You're
phone.
on OnlyFans.com trying to donate more money.
No, it was my shitty Photoshop app because I'm editing someone's name out of a screenshot.
I
Wait,
for,
be on the podcast.
for a
I've
minute-
said enough.
for a minute, I was like, give him the benefit of a doubt. He's trying to do a bit for the podcast, and
no,
you weren't.
no.
So that's not excellent.
I bring
Yeah.
so much content to this podcast.
Well, could you try it now?
Yeah,
You know what?
I actually have something. I have
No,
something in the barrel.
no. You know what? You are exempt from the podcast.
Ah, ding, ding, ding.
Thank God. Finally.
So we're writing an episode, a new episode. What do you want to do, Alex? And this will be canon for the rest of it.
You can either make an entirely new episode or fix one of these.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I reckon
Working in the framework that we already have, that Mike's Muslim, he's broken up with Liz.
God, we might
status
actually get a
quo's
really
gay.
good episode out of this because Hastings, the usual fucking nuisance in the writers' room.
Well,
is just
Hastings
fucking
is
AWOL at the
Hastings
moment.
is a nepotism hire.
I just
The guy
tweeted the
who-
thing I was working on, so it's all
The
good.
guy who owns the network made me hire Hastings.
Right, okay. They're like, you need to diversify.
Man, great time to tweet. Hey, at 8:09 on a Saturday night, that's gonna rake in the likes.
I'm replying to someone
Because
else's
otherwise I
tweet.
would have got a lot. Got him.
Beep,
hang on, hang on.
I think I have the most followers
hang
here.
on. Keep making sound
I think
effects.
Rose does.
Keep making sound effects.
I
got it.
There we go.
What was the original gag that wears
No,
air horning that I don't get a lot of likes on my tweets?
Hastings.
I don't care that much.
Hastings, say how many likes you got on your last tweet. got it for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. My
Just wanna
last
know.
tweet got a grand total of, let me just bring up my profile. My last tweet got a grand total of 6 likes.
Oh, wow. That's the sad noise.
Not the sad noise.
The sad trombone.
noise.
I don't
Right.
know how I will ever recover from this.
So, Alex, do you have any ideas about an episode of
man,
Off
this is
Center
all
that we
of me.
want to do?
Uh,
Well, it's all of us. We've all got to
So,
think of
hold
one
on. So-
with an
so-
A story
so
and a
the
B
main-
story.
Mango's Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this crazy?
9/11
I've
just
got,
happened.
I've got an
Okay.
idea. Is this
So-
crazy?
No, I got on. Status quo
Okay.
is an Ethiopian Jew.
But no, but he's also gay.
Oh, well, you can double down, you know?
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
But,
But like,
I think we want to keep
what
him as a
happens
rapper,
here?
though.
Oh, okay. So he can't be a rapper, an Ethiopian Jew, and gay. Okay, fair enough. All right, no.
I feel like that's just
Yeah.
too much going on.
I just
Like-
that's fair enough. But I wanted the Muslim Jewish thing happening. But okay, fair enough.
Well, why don't you just make like
That's a
Ewan?
lot.
Okay. He's a. Oh no, hold on. I wanted.
Ewan could be Jewish.
I want Chow to be.
England doesn't have
Uyghur.
Jews.
Yeah, it
Yeah, they
does.
do.
I'm
A
Jewish.
trillion Jews.
Kidding.
Yeah, I reckon Ewan could be Jewish. Ewan's Jewan.
And then if
Jewan Pierce.
Mike is a Muslim, that's funny because there's a Israel Jew thing.
Yeah,
happening
so
there.
but what's the
How
story?
do we get along and live in the same apartment?
Exactly.
But what's the story idea here?
Yeah, you need the
so,
story.
So I have to progress the story.
Well,
as
we
well.
all do.
I've got maybe a B plot for this
Okay.
episode I'd like
Yeah.
to explore. This
Yeah.
happens often in sitcoms, and why can't we do it in ours? Chow and Liz fuck. And then they got to deal with the fallout.
Interesting.
They go and get pissed. They root each other.
I think that would be
Hold
good.
on, hold on. To be fair, they're not dating.
Yeah, no.
They're them
No,
two.
they
So
have a
Liz,
mistaken one night
who's
stand.
Liz then? She's just a random chick.
No, Liz is the main character.
Yeah,
The
but she's
female
not dating
lead.
the main
No,
character.
she's broken up.
Yeah, we've made her.
Oh, yeah,
own
she's
character.
Elaine. She's the Elaine type. She's
Yeah.
like
But
friends.
she's still friends with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
That would
We've
be
made
a
her
good
Elaine
one.
because all she is in the show is there to create problems for Mike and the others. So we're making her own fucking character.
Having
That's
her and,
absolutely, I agree with that.
having
but
her
she's
and
just
Chow
a
fuck
friend.
would be a good way to maybe get status quo involved as well. Because he could be like
because she can. Or
her
both of
gay
them.
confidant.
Both of them. Both
Yeah.
of them can confide in
Yeah,
status
they're
quo.
both. Oh, that's a funny plot that they're both confiding but different things.
What do you
Status
mean?
quo.
by
Like they're
different
both
things?
like, but like Liz is like Chow's not got a huge penis, and Chow's just like, well, she's got like too tight a pussy, you know, like they're
Oh,
both.
but not like that. Like it could be like something like innocuous. That's weird. Like
Yeah,
she made this noise.
yeah,
or
that
like-
was an example. Like,
But also they're confiding in it. Like, hey, what do I do? Like Mike's gonna find out about this and be
Yeah.
really upset. Like,
yeah, whereas
I
status
reckon-
quo
I
has
reckon,
to
uh,
balance everything.
I reckon. So hold on. Mike and Ewan live together. Is that right?
Yeah.
yep.
I reckon. And they have. I reckon Mike decides. No, who's Jewish? Ewan.
Ewan's
now
Jewish.
Ewan decides to like take a little bit of Mike's room. Just a little bit.
That's a sitcom plot.
That is very sitcom.
A little bit, okay? And he just turns up and he's like, "No, I'm in here."
Oh god,
Yeah.
we should have known, Alex.
It's like,
wasn't
well,
gonna take
actually-
this exercise seriously.
And then he's like, "What are you trying to? Are you anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
Because I'm on."
That's a good sitcom plot. though.
Yeah.
That
is
no,
good.
but that is a plot out of like the area that this sitcom should have been
Yeah.
from.
Mike
Like,
comes
this,
in-
like, it's like it's a 2000 sitcom that should have been in the fucking 70s.
Ewan
the way
comes
it
in
is.
and paints a white line down Mike's
Yeah,
room.
yeah,
He's like, this is
yeah.
And,
my
then, but,
territory.
and Ewan,
yeah.
but Ewan's like, well, actually, because I lived in this apartment a few years ago and I moved out, and like this was kind of my room, back
exactly.
then. So it's like you can get most of the room, but I just want to have this little part. Like I just it's special.
He
to
starts
me.
calling part of the apartment the DMZ, the D-mic'd zone.
Yeah. But how do we resolve that? I like D Mike's
Well,
zone.
we need
DMZ would probably be the name of the episode.
We need a
Yeah.
very American person to turn up and just kick the shit out of the Jew. I forgot the Jew's name in this all.
Ewan.
American Pie
Ewan,
guest
sorry.
star Sean William Scott.
No, kick the shit out of
The Palestinian.
Muslim. Sorry,
Yeah.
You want a hella American character guest star Sean William Scott because
So
they
Sean-
get American Pie
Yes,
people in
that is
this a lot.
perfect. He
So-
lives across the road, and he's a pro.
He's a Navy SEAL.
He's a Navy
Yeah,
SEAL,
yeah.
and he's like, he's got the fucking like, speed dealer sunnies on, and he's got a mullet, and he's wearing like a cape that's got the American flag
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
He
so
keeps
he's-
calling. He keeps calling him
like-
Iraqi.
Yeah, so
He's
he's
from
Stifler.
Palestine.
He's Stifler
He's
from
like
old school.
he's like the
Yeah,
the
I was
real
gonna
estate.
say yeah, he's that. You know,
He's like the real estate agent or something. He's like fuck you, you fucking.
Yeah.
Alright,
Don't.
I don't want to. I don't want to overload Jamie's CPU when he edits this episode because there's a
I'm
lot.
not editing this.
So is that the what I've added is that Ewan is a British Jew
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that there's a
He's
Palestinian.
annexing Mike's room.
He's annexing Mike's room.
Yeah.
That's
Is
right.
this maybe a very special episode?
Nah.
It feels like a very special
Full-blown
episode.
comedy,
I think
baby.
that-
It feels like a very
Like,
special episode.
I think the last episode was a very special
canon?
episode.
Canon is he's Jewish, and then the one episode is that he is trying to annex his room.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
this is just pure
I
comedy.
think that's hilarious.
All right, that's it. That's all I'm adding.
Do you have any plugs, Alex?
No, man, all my natural hair. So
How long have you had that in the chamber?
no.
Hey, go onto Alex's Facebook page and watch some of the sketches he did.
Yeah.
Over ISO.
Oh
They're fun.
yeah, they're good.
Hastings, are you gigging?
Yeah.
Jamie shows up in one of them.
Yes, he does.
And Hastings is referenced in one or two
I
of them,
wanted
I
to
think.
not to make fun, but I wanted to make
That wouldn't be like you.
no. I wanted to make a fake preview of a documentary about you
Oh,
up
yeah.
that was in the style of Firefest. And Hastings wouldn't allow it.
And you get
And I
like...
think it'd be very funny.
You get a girl to walk in, and I walked into that room fully prepared
Yeah.
to suck his dick.
Exactly. I think it'd be very funny.
You got to understand that You Up was a combination.
Oh,
Can I
Yeah.
say
walk yourself out of this one.
I didn't say shit. I'm not walking myself out of shit. I'm
Go on.
defending. The thing about You Up is, of all the things I've made as an adult, that's the hardest I've worked at anything.
Remember
It's,
earlier?
I'm not done.
do you remember earlier when you were like, I work very hard in comedy? And I was like, very hard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
incredibly offensive. It's been my entire adult life. No. With You Are, is I worked it was a combination of it being the hardest I'd ever worked at anything, but it was like just after I lost a job and just before I got married, while watching Jamie run a comedy festival, essentially.
Yeah.
But that night was like so disappointing for me. Like,
Yeah.
it's so
Well,
frustrating.
but
And it was I think it was a good show. The end result wasn't amazing. But like the work I put in was good, and I'll be able to reuse it and stuff. But like I was so, in retrospect, so transparently self-sabotaging. I was so high, I was so drunk. I slept.
I saw you guys when I got there, and you were blind.
Yeah,
drunk. I'm like, what is going on?
I slept an hour the night before. It was
That's
fucked.
stupid.
I was so stupid.
my
but I'm
point-
furious at myself.
So follow me on
So I'm
Instagram
saying
and Twitter.
it's you
My
know
point
it's an
is-
upsetting thing for me.
Exactly, and I don't mean to like pile on, but I think if you're going to do another one, you gotta market it as the first one. That's what happened. The second one, come watch.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what
I
it is.
probably will.
Like
I probably
That's what
fucking
you gotta do.
everyone, especially in Australia, I think everyone loves an underdog.
Exactly.
Maybe-
Well, that's not been my experience. So-
Maybe
No, but
it's,
I think
Yeah,
that's-
because you haven't risen yet.
I guarantee everyone. Will
maybe it's
come.
time for me to release the audio.
You don't own the audio. I own the audio.
Oh man, I can't.
Wow.
believe that.
I mean-
Shit.
I mean,
I think a fine possession is 9/10 the law.
Supreme Court of New
I
South
mean-
Wales.
I mean-
Just record me and release without my permission.
well, you told me to record it.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to release it though. I still
Possession
get to
is
decide
9/10
what
the law.
happens with it.
Look, I'm so late for
we
this
gotta
place,
go.
so we got
Alright,
plugs.
thank you, everybody.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Rose Alice Piper. Follow us. We'll just tell you whether we ate it all on Facebook. We are We Ate It All on Twitter. We're We Ate It All podcast on Instagram. This is something we never say. Like and subscribe, please. Also, I've been meaning to say this. If you are like going through the arduous fucking task of watching all these episodes with us, please tell us. Let us know if you're doing that as well.
Do not tell us if you're not. It will just bum us out.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
not
I don't
te-
want to hear that.
Don't tell us if you're not listening.
Yeah, please.
Do you guys have anything?
Yeah, I'm doing.
When's this going to come out? This is
I
in a
don't know,
couple of
like
weeks,
2
right?
weeks. Everly Comedy's back. Come every Sunday.
Comedy's on.
I'm on Twitter on Jamie Kirk Comedy. I don't tweet, but if you want me to release the You Up audio,
Yeah.
No.
DM, boy.
What's our We Ate It All 69 at gmail.com? Hit us up there.
DM me. If I get 5 requests, I will do it.
The Supreme Court doesn't rule against him.
Does that include listener Ross Brackets from Friends Facebook
no, it has
DMing
to
me?
be entirely new listeners.
But if he DM'd me on Facebook and said,
I suppose he could do it, yeah.
okay,
But then I still have to ask
'Cause he
Hastings
will after
and
I've said this.
disregard him.
Yeah. Tell you what, Ross can ask me. How about that?
Yeah, ask Hastings.
Or he can ask me,
We can ask Hastings.
because I have the footage.
Okay. Well,
just trying to add to the
it's not footage;
tally.
it's audio. Don't.
It sounds
overpromise.
great.
Don't tell me about it. I'm still not. Yeah, I'm still not there yet.
You should listen to it.
I will eventually. I think there's like salvageable parts potentially.
You'd be wrong.
To the next step.
Next step, guys.
I'm never collaborating with any of you ever again.
That's very funny.